Ashes of the forgotten. Sky above Thalora was always the color of old blood. Thick crimson clouds rolled in endless circles, stirred by storms that never slept. They cast the world in a dim red light, as if the planet itself mourned something long gone. To the people of Thalora, that sky was normal. To Kale Vair, it was a constant reminder that his people were not free. Kale crouched in the dust outside the mining compound gates, hands smeared with oil as he worked on a broken loader. The machine was a towering exosuit meant for hauling stone and ore from the deep tunnels. Its metal ribs were cracked, its left arm severed by a cave-in. The overseers had told Kale to scrap it. Instead, he tried to fix it. The others whispered about him. Strange one, Kale. Always rebuilding what should be discarded. He ignored them. His hands moved with memory, as if guided by something older than his bloodline. The way he welded, the way he braced a broken joint, it wasn't Fowler and Craft. It was something else. Something he didn't fully understand. Kale. The shout made him flinch. He turned and saw Myra, her silver eyes glowing faintly in the red haze. Mira was smaller than most of her kind, her voice soft but firm. She was one of the few who treated him as more than a tool. The patrols are coming, she warned. If they see you wasting time. I'm not wasting time, Kale muttered, wiping sweat from his brow. This loader can still work. Myra stepped closer, lowering her voice. You're going to get dragged to the pits if you keep defying them. Please, Kale, let it go. Kale hesitated. He wanted to explain why he couldn't stop, why the broken things called to him, why he saw shapes and possibilities no one else seemed to notice. But words failed him, as they always did. Instead, he gave a half-smile. You know me, he said quietly. I don't let go. Myra's expression softened, but fear lingered in her eyes. The gates of the compound clanged open. Black-armored figures marched out the Velari overseers, their insectal helmets glinting under the red sky. Behind them lumbered a transport crawler, its engines growling. The sight made Kale's stomach twist. Everyone on Thalora knew what the crawler meant. It carried those who would never return. Kale stood quickly, wiping his hands clean. The overseers barked orders, herding workers into lines. Mira clutched his sleeve, whispering, Stay silent. Do as they say. But when the lead overseer approached, something strange happened. The alien froze mid-step. Its helmet sensors locked on Kale, scanning rapidly. Then, in a sharp, distorted voice, it said, Identify yourself. Kale frowned. Kale Vair, miner, mechanic. The overseer tilted its head. Your genetic pattern. Anomaly detected. The others stirred nervously. Myra's grip on Kale's sleeve tightened. The overseer spoke again, voice colder. You will come with us? Kale's heart hammered. He forced himself to speak steadily. Why? I've done nothing. The alien leaned close, its mask reflecting Kale's face. Because you should not exist. Before Kale could react, armored hands seized him. Mira cried out, but a guard shoved her aside. Kale struggled, his mind racing. What did it mean, should not exist? He was thrown into the crawler, its doors sealing behind him. The machine lurched forward, carrying him into the storm-choked horizon. Kale pressed against the bars, staring out as Myra's figure grew smaller and smaller. Her voice still echoed in his ears, and for the first time, Kale felt the strange truth stir in his chest. He was not like the others. Not fully. Something inside him was waking something the overseers feared. The crawler rumbled for hours across the wasteland. At last, it stopped at a towering spire of black stone and metal, the overseer's fortress. Kale was dragged inside, thrown into a chamber that hummed with alien machines. A figure waited there, not an overseer dot, it was taller, robed, its face hidden behind a mask of polished bone. Its voice was calm, smooth, and utterly inhuman. "Do you know what you are, Cale Veyer?" it asked. Cale's throat tightened. "A prisoner?" The figure tilted its head, studying him. Then it said words that shattered everything he thought he knew. "You are human." The room went silent. Cale's breath caught. "What?" The figure leaned closer, its masked face inches from his own. "Humanity vanished from the stars over 3,000 years ago. We believed them extinct. But you are proof they have returned." Cale's knees went weak. His mind reeled. Human, a word he had never heard before. A word that tasted heavy and powerful on his tongue. The figure's voice hardened. "And that means you are dangerous. Because when humanity rises, the galaxy falls helpless before them." The lights in the chamber flickered. Distant alarms wailed. The ground trembled beneath his feet. Something was coming, and Cale was at the center of it. Asterisk echoes of extinction. Cale's mind spun as the masked figures. Words echoed through him. "Human. The sound of it stirred something deep in his chest, like a chord struck on strings that had been silent his whole life. But there was no time to dwell. The alarms wailed louder, vibrating through the black stone walls of the Overseer Fortress. "What's happening?" Cale demanded. The masked figure didn't answer right away. Instead, it tapped a clawed finger against its bone mask, as though calculating. Finally, it said, "Your awakening has not gone unnoticed. Something ancient stirs whenever human blood remembers itself. The Overseer's masters will not allow you to live." Cale's stomach tightened. "So what now? You kill me?" The figure tilted its head. "No, we study you. Dissect you, perhaps? If you are truly human, the galaxy must know what has returned." Cale's fists clenched, but before he could reply, the chamber doors burst open. Two Overseers stumbled inside, their armor scorched. "They're here." One hissed. The masked figure stiffened. "Who?" Before an answer came, the wall behind them exploded. Shards of black stone and fire rained across the chamber. Through the smoke strode a shape Cale had never seen before. Tall, broad, armored in a design unlike any Overseer. The plating battered but proud, glowing faint blue at the seams. The figure carried a rifle, unlike the alien weapons Cale knew, sleek, brutal, humming with power. The stranger spoke, voice deep and steady, echoing through a translator. "Step away from him." The Overseers raised their weapons, but the armored figure moved with impossible speed. Bolts of blue light flashed. The Overseers fell smoking to the floor. The masked alien hissed in fury. You should not be here." The armored figure turned its visor toward the alien. "Neither should humanity. And yet here we are." The alien's calm shattered. For the first time, Cale saw fear in stance. "Impossible." It whispered. Humanity was purged. The stranger stepped closer, rifle raised. "We do not forget. We do not forgive. And we do not vanish." Cale's heart thundered. Humanity, this warrior, this impossible survivor, was like him. The masked alien retreated toward the shadows. "This is only one world. The galaxy will not bow again. Then it will break again," the warrior growled, firing. The alien vanished in a flash of energy, leaving only the smell of ozone behind. Cale stood frozen, staring at the stranger. His voice trembled when he finally spoke. "Who are you?" The warrior lowered his weapon. His visor retracted, revealing a scarred face, weathered but unmistakably like Cale's. A human face. "My name is Commander Rin Holt," he said. "Terran Expeditionary Corps. And you, boy," his gaze sharpened. "You're proof we were never truly gone." Cale's knees nearly gave out. "You're saying?" "I'm human, like you." Rin stepped forward, gripping Cale's shoulder with a hand heavy as iron. His eyes burned with conviction. You are more than that. You are the spark. And the galaxy is about to remember why it feared us. The fortress shook with more explosions. Rin pulled Kale toward the blasted wall. Outside, the crimson storm raged, but Kale saw shapes cutting through the clouds, sleek black ships swooping low, their engines roaring like thunder. Mira's people were scattering below, herded by overseers, but the new ships fired precision strikes, clearing paths, toppling alien towers. The sight made Kale's chest ache. Your people? He asked. Rin nodded grimly. What's left of us? We've been hiding for centuries, rebuilding, waiting for the right time. His jaw tightened. And that time is now. Kale stumbled as Rin dragged him into a waiting dropship. Inside, humans moved with practiced efficiency, men and women, scarred, tired, but alive, real. His reflections stared back at him from their faces. He wasn't alone anymore. The dropship's ramp sealed, and it lifted into the storm. Kale pressed to the window, watching Thalera shrink beneath them. Mira, he whispered, fear clawing at him. She's still down there. Rin glanced at him, then at the battlefield below. We'll come back. But first, you need to understand what's at stake. Kale turned, eyes burning. No, you don't understand. She saved me more times than I can count. If you leave her, his voice cracked. I can't leave her. The humans exchanged wary looks. Rin studied him for a long moment, then gave a short nod. Very well, Rin said. But if we go back, you'll see the truth. Humanity does not fight only for itself. The ship shook violently. Warning lights blared. An overseer dreadnought had broken through the storm clouds above, its colossal cannons charging with blinding light. The pilot shouted, They've locked on. Rin slammed his fist against the bulkhead. Brace for impact. Kale gripped the straps, heart pounding as the dreadnought's beam lit the sky, and then something impossible happened. From the darkness beyond the storm, a different fleet emerged. Vast, ancient, bristling with weapons Kale couldn't begin to name. Their hulls bore no symbols of the overseers, no markings at all, just cold steel and silence. Rin's face drained of color. No, he whispered. Not them. Not now. The humans on board froze. Even the hardened soldiers looked shaken. Kale turned to Rin, dread growing. Who are they? Rin's voice was barely audible. The architects. The ones who destroyed Earth. The sky tore apart as the dreadnoughts of the architects descended. The architect's shadow. Storm-shrouded sky split open. Through the roiling crimson clouds descended vast geometric warships, cold, silent, and unnaturally precise. They dwarfed the overseer dreadnought, casting shadows miles wide across Thalora's burning surface. Their hulls glowed with shifting symbols, patterns that seemed to rearrange themselves like living equations. Kale felt his breath seize. It wasn't just the size. It was the feeling. Looking at those ships was like staring into the eyes of something that had never been alive, yet had always existed. Ancient, merciless, eternal. Rin's voice was tight with controlled fury. The architects. Kale tore his eyes away from the window. What are they? Rin didn't answer right away. His jaw clenched, scars shifting across his face. Finally, he spoke. They are why Earth burns only in memory. Why humanity vanished from the stars. They built the cage around us, and threw away the key. The dropship rattled violently as a beam of pure white energy lanced past, carving a canyon into the ground below. The pilot screamed over the comms. They're targeting us. Rin slammed his fist against the console. Brake pattern evasive. The dropship swerved, engines roaring. Kale's stomach lurched as gravity shifted. But even through the chaos, he couldn't stop staring at the colossal shapes above. You said they destroyed Earth, Kale shouted. But why? Why us? Rin turned sharply, gripping Kale by the collar. His eyes blazed with grief and rage, because humanity was the only species they couldn't control, the only ones who stood against them. We refused their order. We fought when no one else dared. His voice broke into a growl. And for that, they tried to erase us. Kale's pulse thundered. The words settled deep inside him, heavy and undeniable. Humanity refused. The ship jolted again, alarms wailing. A pilot cursed. We can't outrun them, Commander. Rin glanced at the crew, then at Kale. Something like a decision hardened in his eyes. He spoke into the com. Rally point Delta 7. Get the boy out. Kale stiffened. The boy? You mean me? Yes, Rin snapped. You don't understand what you are yet. But they do. He jabbed a finger toward the descending fleet. If the architects want you, it means you're more dangerous to them than I realized. Kale swallowed, his throat dry. I'm just a mechanic. I fix loaders. I'm no one. Rin leaned closer, voice low and fierce. That's exactly why you matter. Humans don't need crowns or titles to change the galaxy. We build. We adapt. We survive. That's what terrifies them. The ship bucked hard, one engine bursting into flame. The crew struggled to stabilize, but Kale could see it. The architect's weapons were locking on again. This ship won't hold, the pilot cried. Rin ripped open a weapons locker, tossing rifles to the soldiers. Then we fight on the ground. He shoved a sidearm into Kale's hands. The weapon was heavy, humming with power. I don't, Kale began. You will, Rin cut him off. Because survival isn't about being ready. It's about refusing to die. The dropship plummeted, slamming into the desert outside the Overseer compound. Metal screamed, flames erupted, and dust filled the air. Kale staggered to his feet, ears ringing. The crew scrambled out, weapons blazing at advancing Overseers. Above them, the dreadnoughts of the architects hovered, silent and watchful. They hadn't fired yet. It was as if they were waiting. Rin grabbed Kale and pulled him behind a broken wing. Listen to me. Those machines don't act without reason. If they haven't obliterated us yet, it's because of you. Kale's skin crawled. Me? Why? Rin's answer was cut off by a voice that didn't come from any mouth dot. It vibrated inside Kale's skull, cold and mechanical, layered with thousands of echoes. Human anomaly detected. Subject Kale Vayer. Surrender. Kale froze, clutching his head. The voice wasn't sound. It was inside him. Rin's face hardened. They're speaking through you? Damn it. Kale gasped, forcing out words. What do they want? The answer thundered in his mind. Compliance ensures mercy. Resistance ensures erasure. Kale staggered back, shaking. He looked at Rin, desperate. They want me. If I go, maybe they'll spare you. Rin's grip tightened on his shoulder. His eyes blazed like fire. No, that's what they want you to think. They don't spare. They erase. Always. Kale's chest heaved. Then what do we do? Rin raised his rifle, glaring up at the silent architect fleet. His voice was steady, ironclad. We do what humans have always done. He chambered around. We fight back. The Overseers surged forward, and the battle erupted in the crimson storm. Kale fired his weapon clumsily, bolts of light ripping into alien armor. His hands shook, but something in him pushed through the fear. Instinct. Muscle memory he never knew he had. Mira's voice flashed in his mind. Don't let go. He didn't. Bodies fell. Smoke choked the air. Above, the architect ships remained motionless until, without warning, one began to descend. Its vast shadow swallowed the battlefield. Kale looked up. horror and awe colliding in his chest. The ship wasn't just descending. It was opening. Vast plates shifted aside, revealing an inner chamber glowing with pale light. The voice returned, louder, crushing. Subject Kale Vair, final warning. Surrender or all below will perish. The overseers stopped firing. Even they recoiled, their insectal helmets turning skyward. For the first time in his life, Kale realized every eye-human, overseer, and alien machine was on him. And in that moment, he understood. The choice wasn't whether he lived or died. The choice was whether they lived or died. He gripped the weapon tighter, chest heaving, heart splitting in two. Kale, Rin barked, dragging him back to reality. Don't listen. Whatever they promise, it's a lie. But Kale wasn't sure. If he stayed, everyone might die. If he went, maybe, just maybe, they'd live. The Architect ship loomed lower, its light consuming the battlefield. Kale took one shaky step forward. Asterisk chains of light. Architect ship's shadow stretched across the battlefield like the hand of a god. Its inner chamber pulsed with pale light, waves of power rolling over the desert. The overseers had fallen silent, their insectal armor glinting faintly. Even they seemed afraid, backing away as though caught between predator and prey. Kale stood in the open, weapon trembling in his hands. The voice pressed into his skull again, suffocating and cold. Surrender. Confirmed compliance. Behind him, the humans scrambled for cover, rifles cracking. Rin's voice tore through the chaos. Kale! Don't do it. Kale turned. His chest ached with every heartbeat. Rin's scarred face was fierce, defiant. But around him, soldiers bled, choking in the crimson dust. Myra's people screamed as overseers cut them down. If Kale resisted, they'd all die. If he gave himself up, maybe they'd live. He stepped forward again. No. Rin surged through gunfire, grabbing Kale by the arm. His grip was iron, his eyes burning. You think surrender saves them? That's what they want you to believe. Asterisk Kale's voice broke. Then what do I do? Watch them die because of me? Rin leaned close, fierce and unyielding. You're human. That means you refuse. No matter what. Even if the whole damn galaxy falls, you don't kneel. Kale's breath hitched. The words struck something deep in him. An echo of that strange memory hands that built, voices that defied, fire that refused to die. The Architect voice thundered again, shaking the air itself. Last chance. Surrender or extinction resumes. Kale's grip on the weapon tightened. His knees shook. He wanted to believe Rin, but the sight of Mira's people falling broke him. He screamed, raising his arms. Stop! The battlefield froze. Even the overseers hesitated. Kale stepped forward into the pale light, heart pounding. Take me. Just leave them. The Architect ship's chamber expanded, a beam of pure white enveloping him. His body lifted from the ground, weightless, suspended in a cage of light. The weapon fell from his hands, clattering into the dust. Rin roared, charging forward. Kale! But an invisible force slammed him back, hurling him across the sand. The humans fired desperately, but the light swallowed their bolts like drops of water in an ocean. Myra's voice pierced the storm, distant but sharp. Kale! Her silver eyes were wide with terror as she reached out. But she was too far. The light carried him upward, higher, toward the Architect ship's vast opening. His chest seized with fear. Rin! He screamed. Don't let them. The voice silenced him, overwhelming. Final. Asterisk. Compliance confirmed. Subject secured. The battlefield dissolved into a blur as the light dragged him into the machines. Heart. Cold. That was the first thing he felt. Not the bite of wind or snow, but the sterile chill of something that had never been alive. Kale's eyes fluttered open. He was suspended in a chamber of translucent walls, his body bound by shimmering restraints. Symbols of light flowed across the surface, constantly shifting. Asterisk. He struggled, but the bindings held firm. His chest heaved, panic clawing at him. Then the voice returned, not booming, but calm. Almost intimate. Human anomaly. Analysis begins. Shapes unfolded in the chamber beyond constructs of pure geometry, shifting and folding in on themselves. They were not alive, not even machines in the way Cale understood. They were ideas, wearing the shape of matter. One floated closer, its form rippling. You are the spark that must not ignite. Cale gritted his teeth. I don't understand. The construct's voice was as merciless as the void. Humanity was terminated because it defied design. You are remnant contamination. Correction required. Cale's chest tightened. Terminated. You mean exterminated, correct? A necessary excision. Humanity was flawed compassion without limit, will without boundary. Left unchecked, you would unravel order. Cale's breath quickened. So you killed them. You killed us. The construct rippled, as if in thought. Not killed, contained, extinguished, replaced. Rage burned through Cale's fear. Then why am I here? Why not just end me? The construct pulsed with pale light. Because you remain. Because you resist termination. And that is your flaw. The bindings tightened, pain shooting through his limbs. Cale clenched his teeth, refusing to cry out. The construct loomed closer, light searing his vision. We will excise resistance. You will be corrected. Cale's mind raced, terror clawing at him. He wanted to scream, to break free, but the light was endless. Then, through the haze, a voice cut in distant, faint, but human. Cale, don't give in. Rin, somehow, through the storm, through the walls of the impossible machine, Rin's voice reached him. You're human, it said, fierce and unyielding. That means they can't break you. Not unless you let them. Cale's chest heaved. The construct's light bore down. And for the first time, Cale fought back, not with strength, but with will. No, he growled. His voice cracked, but it grew louder with every word. I'm not broken. I'm not your mistake. I am human. The bindings flickered. The construct stilled, its shape faltering. Impossible. Cale roared, straining against the light. You tried to erase us, but you failed. We're still here, and we're not done. The chamber shook. The restraints cracked. The light faltered. Cale's body dropped to the floor as the entire chamber screamed with alarms. The construct recoiled, its perfect shape fracturing. Cale staggered to his feet, eyes blazing. For the first time in his life, he didn't feel like no one. He felt like humanity. And humanity was not finished. Far below. On the battlefield, Rin looked up as the architect's ship split with a jagged crack of light. Mira gasped, clutching his arm. What's happening? Rin's scarred lips curved into a grim smile. He's fighting back. Above them, the impossible machine shuddered, its light fracturing like glass. Asterisk, the Forbidden's memory. Architect's ship screamed as though the void itself had been torn. Cale stood in the fractured chamber, chest heaving, fists clenched. The shimmering restraints lay shattered at his feet, flickering like dying stars. Across from him, the construct twisted violently, its perfect geometric shape buckling into jagged shards of light. Anomaly exceeds parameters, the voice stammered. For the first time, it sounded unsettled. Cale wiped blood from his lip, forcing his body upright. You think I'm a flaw, but I'm not. I'm proof you failed. The construct's form rippled, reforming into a towering lattice of symbols. Humanity was erased. There can be no return. Cale's throat burned, but he forced the words out. Then why am I here? Why do I exist? The construct hesitated. A pause. Because the purge was incomplete. The walls around them shifted, symbols flooding the chamber. Images flickered burning cities under blue skies, vast fleets tearing through space, worlds screaming in fire. Kale staggered back as the vision seared his eyes. Earth. It had to be Earth. He saw oceans, mountains, a green and blue jewel torn apart by white fire. Human voices cried out, defiant until the end. Then came the silence. Kale fell to his knees, clutching his head. No, stop. The construct's voice rolled over him, relentless. Humanity was purged to preserve order. Yet fragments remained, hidden, carried in shadows. Weak echoes, unworthy of survival. Kale's chest tightened. Fragments? Like me. Correct. You are remnant contamination. A diluted strain of Forbidden's will. Kale's eyes burned with tears. But beneath the grief, something sharper took hold. Anger. You tried to erase us, he spat. But we endured. Even broken. Even scattered. The construct pulsed violently, as if rejecting the words. Asterisk. Endurance is not victory. You cannot rebuild what was lost. Humanity cannot rise again. Kale rose slowly, his fists trembling. You don't understand. Humanity doesn't need to rise again. His voice grew louder, steadier. We never truly fell. The chamber buckled. The walls flickered like unstable code. The construct convulsed, its flawless geometry unraveling. Kale gasped as new images forced themselves into his mind. Not destruction this time. Memory. Hands, building starships from scrap. A medic binding the wounds of an alien soldier. Farmers planting seeds in alien soil. Children laughing under foreign skies. Not warriors. Not conquerors. Survivors. Builders. Friends. Kale staggered, clutching his chest. The images weren't from the architects. They were coming from inside him. From blood older than the overseers, older than Thalaura's storms. The memory of humanity. The construct recoiled. Impossible. Memory cannot persist after excision. Kale bared his teeth in a broken smile. Guess you don't know everything after all. The walls split apart. Energy surged through the chamber, wild and uncontrolled. Sirens wailed, alien symbols collapsing into chaos. The construct screamed an awful, distorted sound. Containment breached. Correction failing. Kale braced himself, sweat pouring down his face. His body trembled under the storm of power. He knew he couldn't hold on forever. But he didn't need forever. He just needed enough. He slammed his hand against the shifting walls, shouting with every ounce of strength left in him. We are still here. The chamber cracked open, spilling white light into the sky. Asterisk on the surface. The battlefield froze as a column of light ripped through the architect's ship. Overseers dropped their weapons, staring up in disbelief. Myra shielded her eyes, her silver hair glowing in the radiance. Beside her, Rin grinned through bloodied teeth. That's it, Kale, he whispered. Show them. The ship groaned like a dying titan. Great chunks of metal tore free, raining into the desert. Yet the core remained, pulsing with stubborn energy. Then a new voice rolled across the battlefield, colder, heavier, deeper than before. Anomaly cannot be permitted. Deploy execution protocol. From the sky above, more architect vessels descended. Their vast forms eclipsed the crimson sun, hundreds of them, a fleet beyond counting. Rin's grin vanished. His face hardened into stone. They're bringing the whole damn armada. Myra's eyes widened in horror. We can't fight that. Rin spat blood into the dust. Maybe not, but we'll make them bleed anyway. The human soldiers rallied, weapons raised. Mira's people, trembling but desperate, picked up fallen rifles and stood beside them. Asterisk. The ground shook as the first of the massive vessels locked its weapons onto the desert. Rin arced into the cone. All units, brace for orbital fire. Myra grabbed his arm, her voice raw. What about Kale? Rin's eyes never left the sky. If he can't stop them, then we all burn. The heavens lit with the glow of annihilation, and above it all, Kale stood in the heart of the architect ship, surrounded by fire and memory, his voice raw but unbroken. Come then, he whispered. Try to erase me again. The ship shuddered, then something deep within it answered. A voice, not architect, not alien. Human. You are not alone. Kale's heart seized. The chamber blazed with light. Asterisk. The voice in the machine. The chamber pulsed with a light unlike anything Kale had felt before. Not cold. Not sterile. Alive. You are not alone. The words resonated in Kale's chest, warm and fierce. His breath caught as the architect ship's symbols flickered violently, struggling against the new presence. He staggered, eyes wide. Who are you? The voice was calm, steady, human. We are what remains. Fragments of minds, woven into the architect network when Earth fell. They tried to erase us, but we hid inside their own systems. Ghosts in their machine. Kale's knees nearly buckled. Your humanity. Still here, not flesh, not whole, but memory, will. We have waited. And now, through you, we rise again. The chamber cracked with violent energy. The architect construct convulsed, its perfect shape unraveling into shards. Intrusion detected. Memory corruption. Purge protocol engaged. Kale gritted his teeth. No, not this time. Asterisk. The human voice surged stronger, layered with countless echoes, men, women, children, all speaking as one. Asterisk. They fear us because we are not order. We are possibility. And possibility cannot be caged. Kale felt the weight of those voices settle into him like fire in his blood. He raised his hands, and for the first time, the architect systems responded. The walls bent, symbols warped, energy reconfigured. The construct screamed. Unacceptable. Anomalies spreading. Containment failing. Kale's lips curled into a broken smile. You tried to correct us. But it turns out, his voice hardened. We correct you. The chamber exploded outward, light ripping through the architect ship's hull. On the surface, the battlefield was bathed in white fire. The descending vessels trembled as cracks of raw energy spidered across their flawless geometry. Overseers collapsed to their knees, shrieking in static-laced terror. Mira shielded her eyes, her voice breaking. What's happening? Rin's gaze never wavered from the sky. His scarred face split in a fierce grin. He's turning their own damn system against them. The human soldiers roared, rallying as the overseers faltered. Shots rang out, blades clashed, and the tide shifted. For the first time, the overseers weren't advancing. They were retreating. But above, the architect fleet realigned, their vast hulls glowing with apocalyptic energy. Global purge initiated. Rin's grin vanished. His blood went cold. They're going to glass the planet. He grabbed Myra's arm. We hold as long as we can. Kale's our only shot. Inside the architect ship, Kale stood amidst the storm of light. The human voices swelled inside him, guiding his hands, his mind. He saw the architect systems like threads of a vast tapestry, and for the first time, he knew how to pull. Show me what to do, he whispered. Trust yourself. We give memory. You give will. Kale reached into the storm, seizing the glowing strands. His body screamed with pain, his veins burning with alien fire. But he pulled anyway. The ship convulsed. Power cascaded backward, surging into the architect fleet. Kale shouted through clenched teeth. You don't get to erase us. One by one, the colossal vessels flickered. Their weapons sputtered. The flawless symbols etched across their hulls cracked. The human voices roared within him, a chorus of defiance carried across centuries. We are humanity. We endure. We return. Kale's vision blurred, but he forced himself to stand tall. The power tore at his body, but he refused to yield. The architect voice thundered, fractured and desperate. Unacceptable. Order must prevail. You cannot win. Kale bared his teeth. That's where you're wrong. He clenched his fists, dragging the architect's systems down into chaos. The fleet above the planet writhed, vast titans suddenly slaves to something they couldn't comprehend. And then silence. Every architect ship froze, motionless. Lights extinguished. The battlefield below went still. Overseers fell into the dust, their armor lifeless without command. Mira stared at the sky, her lips trembling. He did it. Rin exhaled a shuddering breath, lowering his rifle. God, the kid did it. But inside the ship, Kale collapsed to his knees. His body shook violently, smoke rising from his skin. The human voices inside him had grown faint, flickering like dying embers. No, don't leave me, he begged. We are not leaving. We are part of you now. But our time is short. What comes next is yours to decide. Kale's eyes blurred with tears. I don't know if I can. The voices were soft now, fading. That is humanity's truth. We never know. And still we try. The last light faded, leaving Kale alone in the silent ruin of the architect chamber. On the surface, Mira ran across the broken desert, her voice raw. Kale, Rin followed, scanning the wreckage of the falling architect's ship. Chunks of metal crashed like meteors, but one section remained intact, glowing faintly. A hatch burst open, and Kale stumbled out. Smoke curled from his clothes, his eyes sunken, but he was alive. Mira threw her arms around him, sobbing. You idiot. You stubborn, impossible idiot. Kale managed a weak smile. Told you. I don't let go. Rin strode up, gripping his shoulder with iron strength. You did more than survive, kid. You just gave the galaxy its first taste of freedom in 3,000 years. Kale swayed on his feet, exhaustion threatening to pull him under. He looked at the burning horizon, the wreckage of alien titans littering the desert. But even as relief washed through him, a deeper dread gnawed at his chest. He whispered the fear aloud. They'll come back. Won't they? Rin's face hardened, his jaw tight. Yes, this was just one arm of their fleet. The architects never forget, and they never forgive. Myra gripped Kale's hand, her silver eyes shining. Then we fight. Together. Kale looked between them, scarred soldier and alien friend, united not by blood, but by choice. And for the first time, he didn't feel like an orphan of history. He felt like a beginning, but far above, in the endless dark, distant architect fleets stirred. Cold voices whispered across the void. The anomaly spreads. Humanity has returned. All will be corrected. The war was only beginning. Asterisk, the fire that never dies. Desert burned with the wreckage of gods. Shattered architect vessels lay like mountains of twisted light across the horizon. Overseers, once flawless enforcers of order, now lay inert hollow shells stripped of purpose. For the first time in generations, the sky above the planet was quiet. Kale stood amidst the ruin, wrapped in a medical cloak Myra had scavenged from the field. His body trembled, skin marred with faint glowing cracks where architect fire had tried to unmake him. Every step hurt, but he forced himself to stay upright, not because all eyes were on him, not just Mira and Rin, not just the scattered humans who had fought by his side. The freed aliens, once slaves, once servants, once terrified bystanders, now gathered in the broken desert to look at him. Dozens of species, some Kale had no names for, stood together in silence. Their expressions were not fear, it was recognition. Kale swallowed hard, unsure what to say. He wasn't a general. He wasn't a leader. He was just a broken man who had stumbled into something greater, but he remembered the voices. The chorus of humanity whispering through the storm. Their last words to him, we never know. And still we try. He drew a shaking breath. The architects wanted you to believe you were small. That resistance was impossible. That there was no future but theirs. The crowd shifted, whispers passing like wind. Kale raised his voice, letting the raw pain bleed into it. They lied. They always lied. And now you've seen the truth. We can break them. We can fight back. We can be more than tools in their machine. Myra stepped to his side, her silver eyes blazing. He's right. Humanity is not just a story. They are here. And they are not alone. Rin's scarred face twisted into a fierce grin as he raised his battered rifle to the sky. If the architects want a war, we'll give them one they'll never forget. A roar rose from the crowd, alien voices. Human voices, all blended into a single defiant cry. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy trembled not in fear, but in hope. That night, campfires burned across the desert. The survivors gathered, patching wounds, sharing stolen food, building makeshift shelters from the wreckage of gods. For the first time in their lives, many of them laughed tentative, disbelieving, but real. Kale sat apart on a ridge, staring at the stars. His body ached, but it was nothing compared to the ache in his chest. Mira found him there, silent as she sat beside him. You should be resting, she said softly. Kale managed a tired smirk. Says the woman who hasn't closed her eyes in 2 days. Her lips curved, but her eyes were serious. You feel them still, don't you? The voices, he nodded slowly. They're faint now, like echoes in another room. But they're there, watching, waiting. Does it hurt? Kale stared at the sky, at the endless dark where architect fleets slumbered. No, it scares me, because I know what's coming. This was just one battle. They'll come back stronger. They'll bring more ships, more fire. And next time, he swallowed. I don't know if I can stop them. Mira reached out, her fingers brushing his hand. Then you won't be alone when they come. That's the difference. You gave us back choice. We'll stand with you. For a long moment, Kale said nothing. Then he turned to her, voice low but steady. Then maybe we have a chance. At dawn, Rin found them both watching the horizon. The scouts report the wreckage holds intact data cores, he said gruffly. If we can crack them, we might learn where the other fleets are. Kale nodded. We'll need ships, weapons, allies. Everything the architects denied us, Rin snorted. One step at a time, kid. You've already done the impossible. Don't burn yourself out before the real war starts. Kale's lips twitched into the faintest smile. Maybe the impossible is just what we do best. Myra's voice was quiet, but fierce. Humanity's story isn't over. It's only beginning. The three of them stood together on the ridge soldier. Exile, alien watching the sun rise over a galaxy that, for the first time in 3 millennia, was no longer silent. The architects would come. The war would burn. But humanity had returned, and the galaxy would never be the same. Asterisk.